Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back here to read another 2 chapters, actually, of OCDaniel. And, I've just started to read 2 chapters per episode now, so, yeah, let's get right into it. I read the note several times, and then I folded it up with trembling hands. I had no idea what a star child was, or why anyone would possibly want my help. Someone must have snuck it into my bag when I wasn't looking. But who? I decided to look up Star Child first. Maybe that would give me some clues. My first search yielded this: Star Child. According to pseudo-scientific New Age concepts, are children who are believed to possess special, unusual, and sometimes supernatural traits or abilities. I read through the first articles. It sounded like a conspiracy theory stuff to me. Alien DNA, telepathic powers, and a lot of parents who believe their kids were star kids because they behaved badly. I stayed up for a long time that night, checking Facebook for possible leads to the identity of the note leaver. Nobody had anything about Star Child on the page, so I gave up and started getting ready for bed. The routine began at 12:30. It's something I have to do every night. I'll explain later. I went to sleep at 4 a.m. The next day, I found Max in the schoolyard with the other cool kids. They just talked in the morning, though they usually played basketball or touch football at recess. That meant I had to play too, of course, even though I was even worse at basketball than I was at football. Max passed me sometimes, but I usually passed it right back as quickly as possible. And the only shot was when I was literally right in front of the net. The other guys gave me a hard time, but let me play because of Max. If it wasn't for him, I would probably be in the corner reading with Emma, which I wouldn't have minded, except it would have made the prospect of talking to Raya even less likely. As it was, Raya was actually in the circle of the cool kids today. But by the time I got over there, the bell rang. She did give me a little smile, but that was that. Ready for the big game on Saturday? Max asked me as we walked into class. I sighed. For the last time, I don't do anything. If the kicker gets hurt, we need you, seriously. How often does a kicker get hurt? Max paused. Rarely, but still. And hey, are you gonna ask her today? I snorted and pulled out of my books. Of course not. If you don't hurry, someone else will. I thought about that for a moment and shook my head. I can't do it. You're sissy. Agreed. I was still thinking about Raya, and Mr. Keats drawled. Math books out, please. He looked as he wished he'd slept in today. I sighed. That made 2 of us. I don't like math for one important reason: the numbers. We were doing some simple equations, and I kept having to change them. I made a 4 to a 41, a 9, a 91, and I didn't even write the 6. Every time I saw a bad number, I had a zap. A pit of my stomach, things are wrong, do something now feeling. It was like being punched. I tried to hide my notes from Max, but even he noticed. Even I know that's wrong, he said, pointing at one of the answers. Take the 0 out, doofus. Oh, right, I muttered, but I didn't change it. I started sweating profusely throughout the hallway through class. My skin got hot and flushed and prickled. I changed so many numbers that it looked like a code. 9 was giving me a real problem today. Every time I wrote it, I felt like something bad was going to happen. I don't know when it started or why, but some numbers are good and some are not. Here's my list. 1, okay. 2 equals mostly okay. 3 equals bad when combined with another 3, 4, 5, or 6. 4 equals bad. 5 equals okay. 6 equals bad. 7 equals mostly bad. 8 equals always bad. 9 equals bad. 10 equals good. As you can imagine, it gets complicated in the double digits. This probably sounds confusing, and that is likely because I might be crazy. But the numbers make me feel better or worse, and there's no arguing with that. If I do something 4 times, my skin crawls and my stomach hurts, and I can't breathe right. 4 times I feel fine. The numbers control how many times I do things. But I also don't like writing or saying numbers either. I know, bonkers. But who am I to argue with feelings? I don't know what triggers apps really. It's usually just a feeling or a thought that pops out of nowhere and attacks my brain and everything gets cold and dark and hopeless. I can be zapped at any time. Though thankfully it's mostly at nighttime when I'm alone. At those times it's relentless. I hate math, I muttered. Yeah, Max said. And I hate you aren't good at it. My grades are really suffering. Max looked at me and frowned. You alright? I wiped my head and forced a smile. Fine. Just a little warm in here, don't you think? No. Oh, maybe I'm sick. Max put his hand on my forehead. Yeah, go dunk your head in water. You look like Raya just touched you on the arm or something. Thanks, I muttered. May I go to the bathroom? I asked Mr. Keats. I hurried down the hall, wiping my damp forehead and wondering what was wrong. Something happened at night, but never at school. My arms and legs were tingling like they were on fire, and then they were numb and weak. I even started wondering if I was going to faint. Was I dying? My breath caught. The hall started to spin. I was almost to the bathroom when Sarah and Melvin walked out of the girls' bathroom. Miss Lecky was waiting for her in the hall, texting. Sarah immediately turned to me and smiled. Hello, Daniel, she said. I forced a smile. Hi, I managed to trying to get to the bathroom. She stepped in front of me. Splash a little water on your face, she said quietly. It will pass. Miss Lecky was watching us. Okay, I said. Her eyes were doing it again, telling me she knew exactly who I was and what I was seeing. But that was impossible. We had never spoken before yesterday. We had never made eye contact. Who was this girl? I hurried down the bathroom and splashed some ice-cold water onto my cheeks, staring into the mirror and wondering what was happening to that pasty-faced kid looking back at me. Things got better in the last class. Way better. Mr. Cates assigned us a project about local government and said we could do it in groups of 4. I immediately looked at Max, hoping he was finding another 2 partners quickly before the scramble began. The conversations and turning heads started quickly, but Mr. Cates was faster. I have already made the groups, he said, so don't bother. Sometimes I think that only one person is doing the work in the groups, so perhaps it might be a little more balanced if we mix it up. He looked right at me. He would never put me in the group with Max. Max, Clara, Brent, and Miguel, he began. You can sit in the far corner. Super, Max muttered, eyeing Clara, who shot him a grin. I rolled my eyes. Poor you. The groups were read out loud, and I noticed very soon that my name had not been called yet, and neither had Riot. Half hope, half panic started to form, and was confirmed a minute later. Raya, Lisa, Daniel, and Tom. You can sit where Daniel is. I probably had that deer in the headlights look as Raya plopped down next to me and opened a notebook. Hey, Dan, she said warmly. I put my arms under her desk until I was spreading my goosebumps. Hey, I managed. Lisa and Tom joined us. Lisa was a super quiet girl, and Tom was a football jock, so they just looked at each other awkwardly and remained silent. Clearly, it was up to Raya to get the project moving. Anyone against town council? She asked. I figured we could get a good quote that way. My mom knows one of the counselors. Sounds good, I said immediately. Whatever, Tom muttered. Okay, Lisa said, and then flushed as if amazed that she had just spoken in tongue with Tom. This would be fun, except it kind of was. We laid out what we were going to do and gave everyone homework, and Raya laughed twice. She had super white teeth. I needed to go brush. Just before the bell, Tom wandered off to talk with Taj, and Lisa went back to her desk, giving Raya and me an awkward smile and then scurrying away like a mouse. Raya shook her head. She'll get her work done, but we'll probably have to cover for Tom. Yeah, I said, I can do that. She laughed. I'm sure you can. You already do Max's work for him. I opened my mouth to argue, then stopped. Yeah. Why? She asked. He's my friend, I replied, shrugging. It's no big deal. You should tell him to do his own work, she said. He's smarter than he pretends. I think he likes to be a dumb jock because Taj and Tom are. He should be more like you. I laughed. Funny. She raised an eyebrow. What? I mean it. Max doesn't want to be like me, I said, still amazed that I was having a full conversation with Raya Singh. He's a star football player, and I'm one of the most popular kids in school. And I'm me. What's wrong with you? I'm the backup kicker. Raya snorted. I didn't ask what position you play. What is wrong with you and boys equating football to social status? I don't care if you're the backup water boy. I kind of am. Raya laughed. Of course you are. But the point is you're smart, funny, and actually nice. I think that's a lot more important than being the backup kicker. Don't you? I was dreaming again. I had to be. I guess, I said meekly. And thanks. No problem. Unless you screw up this project, in case I'll kick your butt. Deal. The bell rang, and for the first time ever, I wished it was broken. Raya rushed off, and I tried not to float off my chair again. My entire body was tingling, but not with a single feeling of dread. It was like a warm glow. It was as if I was in the sun. When Max came back, I was smiling so much. He just laughed. How happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10 right now? 11. I figured, but wipe that grin off your face and get your cleats. We have practice. My smile was gone in an instant. Make that 2. You call that a push-up? Coach Clemens yelled at me. I was using my knees again. I couldn't help it. I couldn't do 20 push-ups. A type of push-up, I said hopefully. Lift those knees up, Lay. He blustered, spittle flying everywhere. I did, and I did as I was told and face planted into the grass. He sighed deeply and walked away. Laps. We ran for a while, which wasn't that bad, as it was a cold day. I usually spent most of my time sitting, and it was getting really chilly in football clothes. All right, Kevin, Coach Clemens said as we got to back. Let's practice few field goals. Kevin was the starting kicker. He loved football almost as much as Max did. I tried it out with them since I had to kick field goals too, even though I'm not officially invited. I missed from the 30 to 25. Coach Clemens just bit his lips. Go get the drinks ready, Lee, he said eventually. Finally, I muttered, watching Max catch a pass with one hand. Nice one, Max, Coach Clemens shouted. I started arranging the cups of Gatorade and watched as Max running his routes. You'd think I would be jealous, but I really wasn't. I mean, it would have been good to have some football skills, size, or general good looks, but at least I was happy that he was doing so well. When we were younger, we were just social outcasts, and it was nice that he was becoming popular. Part of me wondered if our friendship would survive high school, when he was part of the team and I wasn't, and he could look cool in front of the seniors, but there wasn't much point to worrying about it now. I hoped he would stick with me, but I knew things change when you get older. Just look at Steve. He used to be half decent. I arranged the Gatorade on the table in a neat rows and was swiftly decimated on the first break. We actually did have a water boy for games, but it was my job for practice though. Last Saturday, our water boy had plans, so I thought that I'd do it for the game too. I saw my dad watching as I filled the cups in my Erie Hills elephant uniform. When our eyes met, he quickly looked away. But today, Coach Clemens has different plans. I was sitting on the bench, imagining a horde of goblins bursting through the chain-link fence at the end of the yard. I was right in the middle, snatching up a sword and charging when Coach Clemens stepped in my way like a bulbous, clipboard-wielding ogre. Lee, he said, get out there. You look like a toothpick, so I'm assuming you can run. I want you to get down there as a gunner and see if you could take down the returner. We're getting killed on that. I looked up at him, frowning at his square-jawed grimace. Did I do something wrong? The coach sighed. Most kids want you to play, son. Aren't you sick of the bench? No, I quite like it. Go. Sighing, I trotted onto the field and took up my new position on special teams unit. Max saw me and hurried over to look around. You're playing? Theoretically. He patted my arm. Go get him. Right. I looked at the opposing line. Taj was there, eyeing me like I was a piece of beef jerky. Our returner, a super fast stocky kid named Pete, was waiting for me at the far end of the field. I just had to run around the line, get down there, and tackle him. No problem. I fidgeted nervously, waiting for the snap. I missed the bench already. Hot! The punter shouted, and our long snapper tossed it back at him. I took the long way around the line, just missing the armbar from Taj. I really wasn't very fast, but I wasn't slow either. I made it around the defensive line and started for Pete, who had already positioned himself to get under the ball. I just ran as fast as I could, grinning as I sprinted down the field. This wasn't so bad, as long as I didn't think about the actual hitting anyone part. It was like going for a run, which I didn't do much, but that old lady across the street did, so how bad could it be? I didn't have time to worry out here. I just had to go hit a kid and get the football back. Simple. I was 10 feet away when Pete caught the ball. He pivoted, heading right and left. I followed him, closing in fast. I really couldn't see much through the helmet, so I just locked on Pete like a bloodhound. He started past me, but I turned to chase after him, still grinning. This was kind of fun. I didn't see the impelling collision I was on. It was this too late. There was a big flash. Smiling, Taj running for me at the block, and I felt like I had been hit by a truck. Suddenly I was flying through the air and wondering vaguely if Max would tell my family that I sort of played football before I died. My dad would be happy. The ground hit just as hard as Taj, and I lay there, staring at the afternoon sky. It was clear and blue. I smiled, but probably because I was concussioned. Max appeared over me. You okay? I don't think I want to play football anymore. Max laughed. Fair enough. He grabbed my hand. Let's get you home. I think you're gonna need some ice. As we walked away, I saw Taj laughing. He was wearing number 9. Okay, unfortunately, folks, this video has been gotten too long, and, it is getting pretty late, so I will release Chapter 4 tomorrow, like usual. Okay, and I will see you later, and have a lovely night. Goodbye.